Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Operation Freedom Briefings. The goal of these briefings and my weekly radio show, Operation Freedom, which airs every Sunday from 2 to 5 Eastern live at Wham Talk 1600. You can stream it live at davejanda.com. Our goal with the show and with this briefing is to provide you information the bought-off lamestream fake media is not going to touch. Join us at davejanda.com. We upload tremendous amount of free information in our public site. We also have a subscription side. For a mere 30 cents a day, we deep dive on issues, bring other guests, other shows to the platform, provide you information that you're not going to see, hear, or read in the bought-off lamestream fake media. Why that same media is owned by the globalist syndicate that wants to strip you of your freedom, your liberty, and any amount of finances that you've accumulated throughout your life. I want to focus on Sy Hersh today, and him actually being an ally, I think probably much to his chagrin, for Donald Trump. Sy Hersh is, I believe in my lifetime, one of the best and most courageous investigative journalists that has ever inhabited the planet. Sy Hersh recently wrote an autobiography, a memoir. It's called Reporter. And in this, he presents three simple lessons from his life's work as an investigative journalist. Remember, Sy Hersh is the guy who brought forward very unpleasant activities, very pleasant events in our government's track record. My Lai, the My Lai massacre, Abu Ghraib, the Osama bin Laden narrative he blew apart, and the Osama bin Laden's death narrative he blew apart. And he also actually has taken sides with Donald Trump on the fake Russian hack issue. But here are the three simple lessons that Hersh has come to that he presents in his book. 1. The powerful, the globalists, prey mercilessly upon the powerless, us, up to and including mass murder. Overstatement? I don't think so. There isn't a war the globalists have not funded, both sides have not supported. They love war. You don't see a Rothschild or a Rockefeller or Lazard, Pincus, Warburg. You don't see them going to war or being drafted. Oh, no. You see the Smiths, the Jones, the Jandas, the us, what they call the useless eaters. We're the ones who go to war. We're the ones who get maimed, murdered. Now, there isn't a war the globalists haven't loved and supported. So when he states that they support mass murder, point of fact. 2, the powerful, the globalists, lie constantly about their predations, the actions of attacking and plundering the rest of us. Good point. 3, the natural instinct of the media is to let the powerful get away with it. In other words, what Hersh is saying, quote, the media is the enemy of the people, end quote. Where have you heard that before? Here again, he sides with Trump. I want to point to an article Seymour Hersh wrote, not in August of 1918, or 2018, excuse me, but in 2017, in August of 2017, over a year ago. And here's what he said. He said that Russiagate is a CIA-planted lie and revenge against Trump. This was reported not in the bought-off lamestream fake media, on Zero Hedge, August 2nd, 2017. This was written by Eric Zweiss. Here's what he said. Hersh reveals from his inside FBI and Washington, D.C. Police Department sources, now long before the Justice Department Special Counsel Robert Mueller will be presenting his official findings to the nation, that the charges that Russia had anything to do with the leaks from the DNC and Hillary Clinton's campaign to WikiLeaks, that those charges spread by the press were a CIA-planted lie. And that what WikiLeaks had gotten was only leaks, including at least from the murdered DNC staffer Seth Rich, and were not from any outsider, including the Russians. Here's what direct quote from Hersh. I can tell you right now, Brennan, former director of the CIA, a primetime player, if you will, in the fake Russian hack narrative in order to overthrow a duly elected president of the United States, I can tell you right now, Brennan is an a-hole. I've known all these people for years. Clapper is sort of a better guy, but not a rocket scientist. You know the trouble with all those guys is that the only way they're going to make it make it to a board or two and get hired by and get some fat cat contracts is if Hillary stayed in, if she won the presidency. With Trump, they're gone. They're done. They're going to live on their pensions. They're not going to make it. And I got to tell you guys, they don't want to live on their pensions. They want to be on boards. I have somebody on the inside, I've been around a long time and I write a lot of stuff. I have somebody on the inside who will go and read a file for me. This person is unbelievably accurate and careful. He's a very high level guy and he'll do a favor. You're just going to have to trust me on this. I have a narrative of how that whole thing began, the Russian narrative. It's a Brennan operation. It was an American disinformation operation about effing the duly elected President of the United States, Donald Trump. The purpose of those distorting news stories might be a desire on the part of both the Democrat Party aristocrats and the Republican Party aristocrats to distract the public's attention away from the far deeper understanding that drives the narrative that Hersh, in that clip, is describing. Wrought by the United States aristocracy, which controls both of America's political parties, to deceive the American public. The objective is to protect the aristocracy at all costs. That's not publishable. It is American censorship. Corruption rules America. The public do not. This fact is what Hersh is describing in his narrative as outlined by Eric Zuis. And as Hersh just published his memoir, The Reporter, he talks about the death of journalism. And with the death of journalism comes the death of the deep state. Because journalism, the lamestream fake media, is an important tentacle to the deep state, their propaganda arm. And if the propaganda arm dies, it starts to die all the way up to the head of the snake. This is what Sy Hersh recently said. Quote, "When people are comforted by government lies, trafficking the truth becomes hellishly difficult." Remember, Hersh won a Pulitzer Prize for My Lai and cracked open, wide open, the abuse at Abu Ghraib. And frankly, he was ostracized by the deep state at that point. James Bovard from the American Conservative recently wrote an article about Hersh. Here's what he said. 14 years after Hersh broke Abu Ghraib, many of the details of the post 9/11 torture scandal remain unrevealed. Could anyone imagine Lieutenant William Calley, who was convicted of mass murder for the 1968 My Lai carnage, subsequently becoming a favorite media commentator on military ethics, foreign policy, and democracy? No. But the main culprits in the torture scandal and cover-up, which included former CIA Chief John Brennan, has become a regularly touted font of wisdom in the bought-off lamestream fake media. And what do we see? Trump has now stripped Brennan of his security clearance. Good move. Wish he did it a year and a half ago. By doing it, Trump sends a message to Brennan and to the deep state. Brennan is now become irrelevant. When a puppet of the deep state becomes irrelevant, the deep state takes action. And that's why John Brennan is hysterical. That's why he's screaming about Putin and Trump meeting. Just meeting was treasonous. It's why he's screaming about he's going to sue Trump for taking away his freedom of speech because his surveillance clearance was removed. Trump isn't saying he can't speak. He's just saying that you're tainted. You're involved in tremendous number of nefarious activities, and you're not worthy of security clearance. But without that security clearance, John Brennan becomes irrelevant to the deep state. And he becomes, ultimately, a victim to the deep state. And that is why he is so panicked. And to make him panic more, his comrade in arms, former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, recently threw Brennan under the bus. Clapper, a couple weeks ago, threw Barack Obama under the bus. He said, Obama's behind this Russian hack narrative. Yeah, he was. As we've outlined before on Operation Freedom, we broke it wide open. March 2017, we have the free interview on the top part of DaveJanda.com. Go there. It was with General Tom McInerney. Obama, Brennan, and Clapper hired a guy by the name of Dennis Montgomery to create a platform called the Hammer to illegally surveil millions of Americans. Phone calls, internet activity, financial transactions, texts. Gross violation of your Fourth Amendment rights and privileges. And they utilized the Hammer to target Trump and Flynn and their team illegally. Clapper outlined that. Threw Obama under the bus, saying, yeah, Obama kind of ran that operation. Well, now he's saying actually Brennan did too. Clapper turns on Brennan. Quote, John and his rhetoric have become an issue, end quote. This from Zero Hedge. Former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper threw former CIA Director John Brennan under the bus. Telling CNN's, interesting it occurred on CNN, because so did that other Clapper clip about Obama, tells CNN's State of the Union that, quote, John and his rhetoric have become an issue in and of itself. Oh, message from the deep state. Adding, John is subtle like a freight train, and he's going to say what's on his mind. And what's on his mind is he is deeply panicked because he's getting the message that he's being cut off from the deep state. And when they cut you off, well, they do it on several fronts. What's happening is the rats are turning on the rats. And that's because of Trump and his administration. Love Trump or hate Trump. Bottom line, Trump is ripping down and shredding the Iron Curtain of dis and misinformation that the deep state has constructed over the past number of decades. They, the deep state, and their little puppets, Brennan and Clapper and Obama and Hillary, they created the fake Russian collusion Trump hoax. They created it for the specific reason to obliterate Donald Trump and his presidency. They realized very early on that they needed to take out Trump. He had the support of the military. He has the support of other protective services. They realized they would have a difficult time pulling a, quote, Kennedy Dallas move, end quote. So they created this fake Russian hack narrative and collusion narrative to remove him. And it's fallen apart. And the rats, Clapper, are turning on the other rats, Obama and Hillary and Brennan. I made a prediction on Greg Hunter's show, USA Watchdog, because all of us are frustrated that we haven't seen any high-level perp walks of these players. I made a prediction. And that prediction was that as the primaries come to an end, we're going to see more and more information start leaking out. And we are going to start to see some indictments come forward. We just saw Chris Collins' indictment come out about financial collusion. We just saw 300 pedophile priest indictments hit out of Pennsylvania. There are many more that are going to be coming out. And I believe one of the top people that's going to come down in all of this, early on, is John Brennan, former director of the CIA. A former director of the CIA has never been indicted. I believe it is soon going to happen. I hope you'll join us at davejanda.com. We provide a tremendous amount of public information, free information. We also have the very reasonably priced subscription service for 30 cents a day. Try it for a month. It's month-to-month sign-up. Sign up for a month. If you don't like it, get rid of it. Not sure why you would. Because we, again, provide information you will not see in the bought-off lamestream fake media. The more educated we are about the facts, the more empowered we become. And the more empowered we become, the sooner the deep state meets its end. Please join us every Sunday, 2 to 5 Eastern. davejanda.com, stream it free. Right in the upper right-hand corner, hit the Listen Live button. I thank you for joining me. I thank you for your support of Operation Freedom on YouTube, as well as our davejanda.com platform. Until next time, this is Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail.